All right, all right, all right, all right. All right. Looks like I'm live. Looks like I'm live. Looks like I'm live. So who's in the house? Tell me, who's in the house? Looking at the live chat. Again, we got a bit of a delay happening. As you all know with this software, there's always a bit of latency. You know, what you see on screen is not what's really going on. So, going on in the moment, that is. But how is everybody doing? So who's here? Who's here? Talk to me. And about to click the wrong button here. So got a lot to get to today. Going to be talking to the youngsters about a very important, well, at least it's important to me, topic I think that we all need to take seriously, you know, because we're in a trying to come out on the back end of this whole coronavirus thing. So who's here? Who's here? Before I get into the thick of it, just want to recap and say hello to everybody. Welcome to the live stream. We're going to be talking about a very important topic today, a question I keep getting asked by many of the younger viewers. It has a lot to do with careers in audio. I do believe that that's important. As I'm getting set up, let me just view live in control room. I'm on my laptop and my desktop, so folks, just bear with me a minute because I don't want to have to keep looking back and forth. Ah, excellent. Excellent. Okay, so I'm in 3 locations. I got my laptop, desktop, and 3 points of view. So now I can look at my Gurna. Hey, what's up, Gurna? How are you? How's that that Telecaster working out for you? You know? Just let me know, man. That's a good thing. I'm a frustrated guitar player. You know, anyone who knows me know I've tried. And ironically, my son got me a an acoustic. I'm a little quiet. Okay, yeah. Let me bump up the gain here. Oh, let me turn the monitor down. I think I would know to do that, right? I bump up the gain. I'm on a lav today, so how's that? I have the lav here. Move the lav up a bit. Let me see if I do that. Maybe that'll help. You know, see, get this situation going on. You know, but hopefully that looks a little weird. You know, it's been bunching up. Call me vain if you will. Having this wrinkled look on my situation here. Let me see if I can clip it here. Okay. All right, let's get it together. Let's get it together. All right. Hopefully that's a little bit better. The Telemonster I'm gonna make a strand next year. Oh, cool. Yeah. All right. Good. I'm glad the volume is better. Excellent. Yeah, man. That's cool. Yeah, but like I was saying, my son got me an acoustic guitar, so I'll give it a third, swing this time and see how it works out. I'm not gonna learn how to play. Right now, lately, I've just have been fiddling around with scales on it. I figure, might as well get that facility happening, because everything comes from a scale. So, but it's a lot though, you got your muscles in your hand, you have to get used to, being on the neck like that. But it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, so who else is here? Or Gurna and I, we're going to have just a conversation one-on-one, one or the other, you know? But, yeah, this has been a topic, and I appreciate the question coming from the younger part of the audience, because digital has killed a lot of opportunities for younger musicians to make a living in music. If you're not a person that thinks outside of the box in terms of marketing and how to get your music out, you're going to get stuck. I mean, and now during this pandemic, companies like Spotify have decided that they want to take or lower the royalty that they pay to artists. I don't think that's right. Because artists are already starving, the venues are closed, they can't perform live. So how is one to make a living if they can't count on what little bit of money they're going to get from a company like Spotify? I almost lost my laptop to the floor a minute ago. Let me fix this situation. Give me a second. All right, let me just do that. But let's see. Links for Life. What's up, my brother? How's the family? Family as well. Family as well. We're going to do an abbreviated version of Thanksgiving tomorrow. Oh, by the way, I'd like to introduce everyone to the greatest school on the planet, the City College of New York. Okay? Okay, period. I don't care what school you went to. None is better than mine. Okay? But yes, we're going to do an abbreviated, I'm clipping here, it looks like, an abbreviated version of Thanksgiving tomorrow because of this COVID thing. So we're just trying to, hold on. But how are you doing? What's going on in your world? Talk to me. I don't like to get into the live stream unless I find out, from everyone that they're doing okay, and what's going on, and et cetera, et cetera. But Gurna says, my friend the drummer Dave Sheen, plays guitar now, but it's only easy to it's funny, right? Yeah. Once you get a facility with and I learned this in music school also, because I was a reluctant a drummer reluctant to take the advice of the department head until he pinned me up against the wall and let me know that I wasn't getting my degree unless I took at least piano 1 and piano 2, and it was the best advice ever given to me. But his thing was, when you went for your juries, you had to play. And his thing was, if you practice more, you get it in your fingers. Your fingers have muscle memory. And it's just like guitar player, just like drummers, any instrument you play, your muscles remember a certain way to function on the instrument. So I learned that quick, because I wanted that degree. And it's stuck with me ever since. So, yeah, but once we start relearning or have to learn a new instrument, it becomes a whole different thing altogether. But he plays it like a crazy man. Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you. But I'm glad that it says 6 concurrent viewers, so I don't know who else is here. I'm going to get into the I'll start with the question of the day, because I've been getting a lot of emails lately from virtually all over the world. And this seems to be a concern of most musicians, um, how to earn a living in music. And being getting hired as a producer or an arranger or in whatever capacity that I am hired in, it affords me the opportunity based on the budget to hire um, assistants and other individuals to assist on the project. And I always try and pay a decent wage as well as hire, the kids to give them an opportunity. And there's two types, I'll say, of individuals that I come across. Those who are trying to start a studio and those who are, start a studio or those who are trying to produce. Very rarely, I think maybe once or twice in my hirings have I met a real musician. Now, that can be interpreted in more than one way. I look at it as, kids have varying interests, so therefore, they're going to look at all of their options. But at some point, you have to hone your focus down to one or two things. For me, that came in the age of 30. The problem that I'm seeing today is a lot of the kids are 30 plus that are still trying to figure out, well, what do I do in this so-called career objective called music? If I'm not a musician who plays or who can go out and play live or arrange or, compose or a copywriter where you're writing charts for a singer-songwriter, you could do lead sheets, etc. What if I'm not that guy or that gal? What do I do or how do I function in the industry? And they come away with the thought that, okay, well, what I'll do, I'll get a laptop. I'll get the software. I'll go on YouTube and learn how to use it. And once I get a level of facility, what I will do is from there on, I will just do the following. I'm not going to reveal the following. I was almost about to get ahead of myself, but I want to jump quickly to the question of the day. So you guys take a quick look at this, and this was, and I get several, but I just want to hone on this one because this young man was we've been in touch more than once. So I'm going to show you the question of the day, and I'm going to jump to my screen, and I'll read it along with you. And it says, hello, or hi, Warren. My name is, fill in the blank. We chat on your live stream last Friday. I wanted to start by saying it's an honor, blah, blah, blah. I've been following your channel since I found you, he was looking for Patch Bay information. I'm trying to catch up with your videos. You do it, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Here's background about him. He says, I DJ, let's jump forward. I live in Montreal and I DJ in various corporate events and I'm a beat maker. With almost everything being shut down, I haven't DJed since March. There's also a saturation. Okay, now that's the key word for today. Saturation when it comes to beat making. Beats are selling for $10, which is totally ridiculous. And my question last Friday, which he had participated on one of the live streams, was this. What are the other options other than beat making to sustain a certain kind of income in the music industry? He shared his setup and so on and so on and so forth. Okay. Let me jump back. this is what I've noticed. Like I said, without getting ahead of myself really quick, there's two types, that they come across. Those who want to start studios and those who pretty much just want to get into the whole thought of being in the studio as a producer. The problem with that I've seen is that the kids don't understand that if you're a business person, you're in the business of solving a problem. Okay? For instance, if I'm an arranger, someone who lacks arranging skills for a small ensemble or for the ability to write a lead sheet for a singer-songwriter will come to me and say, hey, how much do you charge per copy of, per score rather, copy of a score for a lead sheet, or per page for a small ensemble? What is your fee for large ensemble, chamber ensemble, whatever? How much do you charge per page? They will get a price. I am therefore solving a problem that they have. The problem that they have is that they can't do it themselves, or they lack the software, or they don't have the time, or the patience to do it. Not saying that they're not a musician, it's just that they don't want to engage in that area of the business. So they bring you this issue, and your job as a business person is to solve that problem. Most of the kids that I come across, they don't understand business from that perspective. So when I say to you, well, what do you want to do? I get faced with this thing. I want to make beats, which is cool. That's fine. Or, they want to engage in some level of education, which there is nothing wrong. Or the third option, really the second of the third that I should have honed in on, was they want to get into mixing and mastering. Now, remember a minute ago I said that we want to hold on to that word called saturation. This is the problem with, the whole thought of engaging in mixing and mastering or beat making. The market is way overloaded, folks, with people making beats, offering mixing and mastering services, and doing YouTube tutorials. Now, when you say, what is market saturation? If you're a business person, market saturation is this. In the beginning of offering any type of product to a general audience, you have phases that it goes through. Now, the blue line in this particular curve would represent those trying to get into the market, offering mixing and mastering or beat making services to the general public. Okay? Good. And notice how the curve goes up in the introduction and the growth phases. Then it hits that red line called profitability. All of the money that's going to be made in that market at that time is going to happen at that point between introduction and growth. Once you cross that profitability line, you're going to have what's called market saturation. Now, that's where, beyond the growth, and then you get into the maturity and the decline of what everybody is asking for. That is where, when you cross the profitability line, that is where it gets a little crazy. It gets a little, a bit more of a problem, because you're now competing with price. And there's really, honestly, what I try to get the kids to understand, there is no successful way to compete with Pookie them down the street on price. If you're trying to sustain yourself in this business, you have to become a problem solver by offering value to the person that's coming to you with the problem. Everybody with a laptop, a mic, a preamp is calling themselves a producer, but are you solving the problem of the client? So your options are therefore limited because now, okay, you got this, you want to get into the business. So now you figure, oh, well, my business model will now be price. Let me jump back. Got my slides out of order. But when you're dealing with price, look at what happens. You're on your way to the bottom of the barrel anytime you start competing on price because it's totally unsustainable. Not sustainable at all. So here's proof to that point. I was on Fivver, right? Let's look at the mixing and mastering. One, starting at $25. Another, I will do pro audio, mixing and mastering a song, $25. I will bring your song to life with top-notch mixing and mastering, $15. I will mix and master your music. Same thing with beats. I will be your premium lo-fi rap hip-hop beat maker, $20. I will be your ghost music producer. Okay, I guess like a ghost writer. AKA Beatmaker, $15. Okay, all right, folks, $15. I will be your music producer, ghost producer, beat maker, and more. $15, and I will be your beat maker and music master. Here's a little word for you. If the only tool you have is a hammer, you tend to see every problem as a nail. And the thing is that most kids, they take this tool called a laptop, Pro Tools, a mic, and they think that everybody, because I was on YouTube, most people are doing beat making, mixing and mastering, and YouTube tutorials, so therefore everybody in the market wants that. No. That's not the case. That's not the case at all. What I try to get the kids to understand is that DJ MVP, what's up, brother? What I try to get the kids to understand is that in order to service a client and serve them well, you have to compete on value. Value. Let me give you a case study on myself, okay? In about 2004, I was really busy from like 2007. It was like constant work. But in 2004, I had the good fortune of executive producing an album by artist Barry D and producing a couple of cuts. And we got nominated for a Dove Award. Now, if you don't know what a Dove Award is, a Dove Award is the highest award offered to one from the Gospel Music Association, the whole nine. We went to Nashville and the awards presentation at the Grand Ole Opry, met a ton of people, blah, blah, blah. Great. So I was like, right before we had gone, I said, Barry, listen, what we have to do. Oh, I knew what I was going to do. He didn't share the same ideology. But I was like, Barry, like what we ought to do. I knew what let me speak for myself. I knew that if we got nominated, this was before we received the nod from the association. If we get nominated, I was like, listen, man, I'm upping everything I'm doing. I'm going to make the investment. You know, I'm going to get this, and this, because I want to be able to offer more value to my clientele. I knew that with this nomination, would come the expectation that if you're pitching to a greater clientele, that you're going to have to offer some level of value. So I was fully on board with a $10,000 plus upgrade because I knew I would make that money back because I was now offering value to my clients that matched my resume. So kids, they come along and they think, well, because I got this, and this, I'm solving a problem. But sometimes you have to understand that maybe the client is not looking for that thing particularly. And if they are, and they're going to start competing with you on price, it's a competition for your business to go straight to the bottom. Because now in order to get that dollar, what are you doing? You're bargaining on price. That is unsustainable. That is unsustainable. Penetration pricing. When you're trying to play this game, it'll get you in the game, but it is dangerous and unsustainable. Eventually, you will have to raise your prices, and the client base that you have built based on being the cheap guy will leave you for the cheaper option. So now you lost that client. What do you do? What do you do? They're gone. They didn't value you. They didn't value your ability as a producer. They didn't. They value your business based on nothing but price alone. So now you lost. So what do I do next? You have to, and I'm going to jump forward to where I am right now. Many of you know that COVID has dealt my business a blow. I've gone and seen this movie before, back in 2008, before we had a downturn in the economy, and I was unprepared then. I learned my lesson from 2008 to make sure that I had at least 6 to 12 months worth of resources so that I could survive. Along comes COVID, and in one day I lost 3 projects. I had signed a contract, about a few months ago to do some more work, negotiated, and that fell through. You have to prepare for the unexpected. That I did. So what is one to do for going forward? One has to now rethink, because COVID has done, if it's done nothing else for most businesses, it has caused individuals to have to rethink what is going to be the next thing. We don't know. You don't know as a musician. Look at, like your dollar store. I'm sorry, y'all. I got the comments in front of me. Somebody said, "Don't let people look at you like you're the dollar store." That's true, man. But you got to be able to look forward and say, okay, look at all the things that have changed since COVID, right? Venues are closed. So musicians who were once upon a time able to go on the road to earn a year's worth of wages, now that's dried up. So that's gone. Spotify and other streaming services now want to nickel musicians who are already struggling financially. So count that as a loss. 3, if you don't have an education as a musician or a resume that reads like the who's who in the music business, there is no chance of you being able to go to an institution of higher learning, a college, and saying, hey, make me an adjunct. So most of the musicians that I know that are jazz musicians have a master's degree education, and they can say, hey, listen, I can teach. Can I get an adjunct position at your college? And some of them are doing that. But my God, the ones that are just strictly musicians or beat makers or fill in the blank, You had better have another revenue stream or you're going to struggle. Period. Don't let anyone fool you into thinking. I've been around long enough and I've been in this business long enough to tell you these facts. The music business is non existent on many, many levels. There's nothing tangible to sell anymore. How are record companies making their money? Off of the copyright? As a publisher? Publishing revenue stream is still coming in. Radio is still playing music from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Those catalogs are still earning money. Think I'm lying? What's the girl? Carole King, who wrote Aretha Franklin hits? She's still eating on those songs that she wrote. Burt Bacharach, still eating. Okay? David Foster, still eating. These are songwriters and iconic producers that have written timeless music. They're still eating off their catalog. Stevie Wonder is still eating off of his catalog. So if you don't have a catalog that deep and that old, how are you going to turn a buck? When the music industry in and of itself, when you could once upon a time sell a CD, is gone. You can't sell anything tangible anymore. How do you turn a buck? You start competing with price. And anytime you start competing with price, it creates a race to the bottom at the sacrifice of quality. And what you have to do is compete on value. Excuse me. Value. Took a sip. Value to win the market. How do I know what I'm talking about? Here's another example. One time, I get specialty clients, right? And one client came to me and said, "Listen, I was referred to you by so and so and so and so. She said that you're a arranger and a producer, and I need help with this song idea. I need you to help me develop it." Fine, no problem. Because she came as a referral, I wasn't hard up for the money then, but I was like, "Listen, I'll charge you this amount. I'll walk you through it on how you could develop the song. It better. Okay, no problem, no problem." So I did the work, finished, showed her what she needed to do. So she comes back later. "Listen, I really like how this came out. Can you produce it?" I'm like, "Okay, now you came to me for one particular purpose." I said, "I want to let you know, right?" She threw it out there as an idea while we were working. "I would like for you to produce it. Ha ha, he he. No problem." I was like, "Yeah, but I'm kind of expensive." She leaves. She comes back about a month later. "I really would like for you to produce it." I said, "Listen, I'm very, very expensive." She said, "Okay, no, I understand that. Put together a proposal, send it to me, and we'll talk." I put together the proposal. She looks at it. I guess she got sticker shock, and then she gets back to me and says, "Wow, you're really high." I'm like, "Yes, but," I said, "I do very good work, as well as provide you with all of the charts that you need. I helped you arrange the song, but if I do any work beyond that point, like create a production around it, the music is mine, okay? The production I'm getting paid for, and you will have to pay me to hire a singer, demo singer, as well as track this in Pro Tools. So you're talking about at least $5,000+ for this one song." "No problem." I'm like, "Okay. But I can't pay you all up front." We work out a deal, and to say that the contract was satisfied, in the end, it was satisfied, paid in full. My point is this. When I said I was going to give her value, I hired the best demo singer I could find. I knew the demo singer was going to have to do not only lead vocals, but backgrounds. I knew I was going to have to write out all the background parts. I knew I was arranging for rhythm section. I knew I was going to have to do the production. I knew I was going to have to dump the production from Logic into Pro Tools. I knew I was going to have to give her a chart to walk away with that indicated all of the chords along with the notation. I knew that. That's a lot of work. I charge accordingly. I'm giving you value. So she was like, I love how this came out. Thank you. Final check paid. Bam. We lose contact for a year. I'm giving you the long version because I'm trying to go somewhere with this thing for the youngsters. Excuse me if I'm a little, have a little bit of edge here. Because some of y'all just don't get it. Is that we lose contact for a year. We get back together. She brings me a new song. Still, a grassroots thing that I help her develop. She says, I really want you to produce it. I'm like, well, you know how much I charge now, but I can't afford to pay you what you charged me last time. I'm like, well, if you can't, we're gonna have to say goodbye because I'm not lowering. I would rather not work, okay, than to lower my prices. Because if I'm going to give you the best of the best and I can stand behind what I'm giving you in terms of value, I'm not going to compete on price. She knew that. Okay, no problem. No, I understand. So she said, she had the respect. I'm thinking about working with this producer. She lets me hear the work. I'm like, you do what you like. But I let her know. I said, if I have to fix anything, if you're dissatisfied with their level of work, I said, I don't think this is quality work, but if I have to fix anything, I'm going to charge you double. She thought I was joking. I mean, not in a disrespectful way, but the fact is, lo and behold, what happens? A month later, she comes back. This is what the person did. It was the most abhorrent arrangement I have ever heard. Drenched in reverb, drenched with delay, had no clue as to how to use auto-tune as a musical tool. And she was like, what do I think? I'm like, listen, I'm not going to lie to you. This is terrible work. How much did the person charge you? When I heard how much this person charged about an hour, I almost fell out of my chair because I felt like, you should know better than to allow someone to take advantage of you based on price. But now all of this is a work done labor law situation. You have to pay double to fix it. What am I saying? It's okay if you want to, if you're living in your mama's spare bedroom, and this is no disrespect to the youngsters who are. If you are living in mommy's spare bedroom, if music is a hobby to you, that's okay. You are allowed, by virtue of your circumstance, to compete with price. However, if you are trying to survive in the business of music, only the best get paid for doing the best work. Period. Every highly regarded musician is worth their weight in salt, as they say. There's a reason why you're going to pay top dollar for some of these guys, because they know that they're going to give you the best performance that you can get. If you as a consumer of a musician's offerings is going to look, well, I'm going to compete with who I can get as the cheapest person, then of course, if you buy cheap, you're going to buy it twice. If you know you have a certain sound you're trying to achieve, you're going to have to pay money for that sound. If you want that Chick Corea sound, go out, hire Chick Corea to do your work. If you want a Dave Weckl type sound, you don't go searching all over YouTube looking for someone who's going to play like Dave Weckl. Dave Weckl has a studio. Dave, how much do you charge to do a track? $9,000. Pay the man. That's the sound you're looking for. But don't waste time competing as a musician or a business owner or as a prospective producer with price. Give your clients value. Now, are there beat makers out there making a killing on these beat making sites? Yes. But what I've noticed separates the best sounding beats from some of the worst ones is that some of these guys, you look at their equipment arsenal, they're not playing. They know they're trying to turn out quality work. There's this kid that I did a project in in the latter part of March, no, latter part of February for an artist. And I had to get in touch with this kid, Beatmaker from Philippines. I forget his name, Tiger something, but he got some I guess like a Oriental type of name to his company. I can't pronounce it. God, please forgive me for botching it up. But the guy's music, the quality of the beat. Now, I'm not a hip hop aficionado, but this guy's music was killing. Halfway around the world, in the Philippines, I'm dealing with this guy. He sends me the music. I'm like, oh, wow. And he did quality work. Was the buyout license expensive? The buyout license for this one track was $3,000. Let that sink in for a second. $3,000 this person paid for the buyout license. In my opinion, it was worth every nickel and some. Okay? And some. Because of the quality and the value of what he had to offer. You could tell that the guy spent time crafting what he was doing. You could have leased it for a time, but the buyout was where the money was at. So he made $3,000 on that one beat. So it's possible to turn six figures doing that. But you can't expect to do everything in Logic with a laptop and then go on these beat making sites selling it, and it's all thin. It doesn't sound produced. It doesn't go anywhere musically. And then you want to know why you can't get ahead. You got to think outside of the box. Outside of the box, it requires, and this is for all musicians, sometimes you have to dig a little deeper. Period. I went to music school. I got my behind kicked regularly by some really talented people, but it pushes you. So if you figure you go on these beat making sites, you see one guy, and it's indisputable. There are people making money selling beats. But you have to ask yourself, what's making their stuff sound the way it does, and mine is so thin sounding? Maybe because they went out and they bought an Apollo. They invested $4,000 in outboard equipment. Maybe they invested in some really high quality digital converters that makes their stuff have the necessary girth to be competitive on iTunes. Just maybe. And what I don't fault is the kids. I don't fault that you don't know. You don't know because you haven't spent enough time doing this. But here's another beef is that sometimes we become so clingy and we don't want anyone in our business to the point where we're not even willing to say, well, let me humble myself to the point where I can go and ask someone, hey, how did you get that sound? Sure. I met Michael Carvin. You don't know who he is. I met Michael Carvin in my 40s, okay? Okay? And I sat down and I talked with this man. It was like, yo, I was a kid. Now, meanwhile, I'm 20 plus, 30 plus years on my instrument. But looking at Michael Carvin, one of the greatest jazz drummers in the world, I'm like, yo, I talk to me. What can I learn from you just talking to you, because you're going to pick up something from someone who was born the heat of the day. I'm going somewhere with this. Is it possible to make money in the business of music? Yes. Where's the money, Warren? Think about it for a second. Think about it for a second. You're a guy that makes some very decent music with your laptop and Pro Tools, and you have pretty good beat making skills. You get this young lady to sing on it, and she slays the track. The both of you look at each other and say, I think we have something here. Why not release it? But don't just release it. How about you go and get yourself a camera, learn how to use it for video, shoot the video, and release it all at the same time. Because guess what this industry and COVID is teaching us all right now? Music is no longer just auditory. You have to have the visual aspect along with it. So what does that leave? And I'm not going to be long-winded. What does that leave you youngsters with the option to do? Sit back in mama's basement or mama's spare bedroom and continue making beats, or be forward-thinking enough to create enough visual content to go along with every single piece of music you release. I take the latter. I'd rather gamble with the latter. Why would I rather gamble with the latter? I would rather approach a job with more than one tool in my toolbox as opposed to one. Okay? Because think about it for a second. You're back with the girl, you do the track is killing. Almost everybody who hears it, yo, this is killing, man. What y'all gonna do with it? The both of y'all look at each other and say, hey, why don't I just release it? You release it with the video. But you don't just release it with the video, you get with someone who has a good eye for shooting the video. You got the camera, the guy got a good creative eye, you put together an awesome music video. Very easy. But the guy who's got the good visual eye is also a great video editor. So you got the trifecta. Now the three of you all put together this outstanding project. How can you miss? How can you miss? Again, I would rather approach a job with too many tools in the toolbox than not enough. The problem is that you guys keep getting caught here. You just want to do one or the other. I'm going to get to the YouTube tutorials in a minute. But beat making, music mixing, and mastering, it's just not sustainable. Being a one or two trick pony, not sustainable. Not sustainable. And I'm saying that because you really don't know. And I don't fault youngsters for not knowing. But I was told a long time ago that if you aim at nothing, you hit nothing every time. And sometimes you just have to step outside of what is normal. Now, a long time ago, I had another youngster who came to me with the same question. This was before I even got on YouTube, and I was like, listen, what I really think people like you should do. And I used to do this, mind you. I'm not saying anything I haven't already done. I said, you really need to entertain other forms of media, because this is going 10 plus years back. The market is shifting. It's shifting. And he's like, well, what should I do for a career? I said, well, why don't you get into learning how to mix for picture? I got you to look like, what? Like, why? Like, I don't want to do that. I want to do music. Yeah, I can respect that. Why not make music your night job and your day job being mixing for picture? Last I heard, about this person. They raked up, and this is, I kind of feel bad in some respects. It was like, ignore what I'm saying. I want to just do music and do studio stuff like you. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to a certain retailer, get a $20,000 plus tab for studio equipment, outfit my entire place to look like yours, and compete with you. So I said to the person who shared this information, I was like, $20,000? Yeah, he raked up a tab, man. And he's kind of depressed now because now he has to pay all that money back. A credit card of $20,000 with, maybe in today's economy, where most of these companies are now charging you 20+% interest, you got to pay on $20,000. It's absolutely foolish. Absolutely foolish. One thing, I don't claim to know everything. I'm not all knowing. But I do understand finances, okay, to the level that one should as a business person. And I do know that 10% of 20,000 is a lot of money. Imagine paying 25% of $20,000 in interest in a studio that is not generating that type of income, because all you wanted to do was make beats. The person literally went out and bought the same monitors I had. At the time I had Dynaudios. You all know the story about the Dynaudios. Dynaudios, a fully outfitted Pro Tools system that is more current than mine. God bless you. God bless you. Dangerous Music, D-Box, and all this other stuff. Beautiful, beautiful place, to the cost of $20,000, and it's not generating $1. Think about that for a minute. Let that just sink in. And you're going to go on Fivver and try and make $15 per beat, and you got a $20,000 tab over your head? It just bugs me to know and to think that that's what's over your head. But there are options, and the visual aspect of music is not going away. Isn't going away anytime soon. In Inc. magazine, it said that the largest market that's growing right now is media. People chuckled. I don't know how many other business heads, but folks laughed at the Netflix model. Okay? Back when Blockbuster was king. Where's Blockbuster now? Look at Netflix. Do a case study, youngsters. Do it. Do it. The visual aspect is going nowhere. So if you want to know what you need to be doing to survive post-COVID, you need to learn Final Cut, Premiere Pro, okay? Or DaVinci Resolve, which is for free. For free. You need to learn how to use a camera. You need to learn how to expose for skin tone on a camera. You need to learn how to use all of the technical graphs on a camera. You need to learn all that there is to know about camera work, because the visual aspect as it relates to music is going nowhere. You will get left stuck sitting in mommy's spare bedroom or in the basement because you didn't want to get on point with where the market is going. Compete with value. Be the guy that can expose for skin tones, that can expose properly for whatever the case may be, whether it's student film, independent film. Be the sound guy willing to go out there and do the boom work, and then suddenly word gets back to the director. He's a great editor. Oh, what does he use? He uses DaVinci Resolve. There is no reason to fall behind anymore. None. None at all. Because the industry is going to move forward with or without you. You can continue to want to make beats, and that's noble and respectable. But if you're not going to bring the value of what it is that you do up to the level that maybe you can charge more money and get out of competing with price, you will never make it. And I'm not trying to be, throw shade at nobody's goals or dreams or wishes or hopes. You're talking to someone whose COVID has really dealt my business a blow. I am now thinking outside of the box. I know what direction I'm going in post-COVID. I'm not revealing it right now. But I can tell you one thing. I saw it 3 years ago, and I decided to get on board with YouTube. So if that gives you any indication what direction I'm headed in, okay? The visual aspect as it relates to the music industry is going nowhere. So if you want to make beats, then you better learn how to use a camera to sell that. Be the guy that can do both. That's value. I came to you for a beat. Not only did I get a beat, I got an awesome music video that was edited to professional standards. That's value. Or be the guy that has the studio, the beat making studio, that just dogs Pookie and them's down the block. Yo, did you see the microphone that guy got? The preamps? Did you see his ability to work quickly, efficiently? He's creative. He got great ideas. His beats are fat. Be that guy. The third and final beef, then I'm not a beef. I take that back. I'm not a beef. But the third and final thing that I have to share is this. And this is, again, no disrespect to the youngsters. You really can't give out what you don't have and don't possess. Period. Because you got a laptop, some plugins, a mic, it does not make you a producer. You know, certain things are earned in this business. You can label yourself as such. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'll give you a little story. They said when Jaco Pastorius walked up to Joe Zawinul, okay, of the Weather Report. You don't know who it is? Look up Jaco, look up Joe Zawinul. Walked up to him and said, "Hi, my name is John Jaco Pastorius, and I'm the world's greatest bass player." And Joe Zawinul told him, "Get the F out of my face." And he handed him the tape. He put it in his pocket and walked away. Joe Zawinul plays the tape, was like, "Oh my God, this dude can play." Now, if you don't know who Jaco Pastorius is, he is literally a bass legend. One of the greatest musicians to have ever touched the bass. You got to be able to stand by what you are handing out. He was able to do that. A lot of y'all want to get on YouTube and figure, oh, well, YouTube is a way to make money. Let me clue you all in on something really fast. I'm 100+ videos deep. I just got monetized in May. After my 4,000 hours, I've made approximately $200 on YouTube. So YouTube is not a way to make money. I am here because I have a passion to share what I've learned through the years. So I'm not trying to bust nobody's bubble, but think about it. We're getting back to the whole point about market saturation. You think, what is it that I'm supposed to do with this thing, this tool, this laptop, and these plugins and the mic that I have? Oh, I guess I'll do tutorials. But how many people can teach you how to use Pro Tools? It becomes a matter of opinion and workflow at some point. How many people can teach you how to use Logic before it becomes an opinion? Right? So to hope that you're going to be monetized and become like a Rick Beato or Adam Neely, and these guys I deeply respect. Because why? Adam Neely and Rick Beato are problem solvers. Warren Hewitt, with his steeped history, is a problem solver. You know what I mean? These guys are offering you a solution to maybe a question that you might have. Whatever that question may be with regards to music or music education. In the case of Rick Beato and Adam Neely. You know, you can't give out what you don't have. So how are you going to think that I'm going to get on YouTube just because I got a laptop a year ago? Now I know all that there is to know about using Logic or Pro Tools, and I'm going to teach. Then you're disappointed, because let me tell you another thing about YouTube. Growth is exponential, which means that if you're not willing to put in the work and put into the quality of work, you can't expect to grow. YouTube goes way beyond just doing the video. You got to understand it from a numerical perspective when it comes to, you know, how to optimize your video for search, etc., etc. So you'll become discouraged, and then you'll put out information or a video here, a video there that is not getting any traction, and you figure, well, I thought I could make money there. No. Because a whole lot of people are doing that. I'm not trying to rain. I'm not, honestly, you know, I get called out. You know, I've gotten called out by, oh, you way you come across is. Listen, man, this is a boy that grew up in the projects. So hard times, I am very familiar with, you know, and I can honestly say with all humility that I have been blessed beyond measure. If I drop dead today, I have been blessed beyond measure in terms of having success in this business. So take what I'm saying as it coming from my heart, that if you want to succeed, you have to be willing to go where maybe no one else is going. And every time that I've done that, I've had success. I've had success. There's no doubt in my mind. There's no doubt in my mind. At the same time I was involved with the opportunity to executive produce Barry's project, I was working with another group called Alpha 7, of which I was a member. It became a situation that was untenable, and I left. I was like, you know what? I love these guys. I think it's best that I leave this group while I can still maintain a friendship with them as musicians, and go and maybe work with Barry and executive produce his album. Every time I've decided to go against what would have been possibly at the moment the better option. Every time I've done that, I've had success. And I'm telling you, if you're young and you're wondering if you could survive, you can survive, but you got to up your game. Period. 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 Ain't nobody going to pay for some light, weak sounding stuff, man. Period. And I have no doubt in my mind that there are guys out here who can do good work. You know, just because you have the tools doesn't give you the facility. You still got to put in your 10,000 hours. You know, you ask any of these top rap guys or producers, you know, you got to be willing to humble yourself and take advice from someone who's gone through it. Period. If you're trying to have success. I was talking to Bob Clearmountain a couple of years ago. I sat down, we were talking like two old friends. My mouth was shut, my ears were wide open, and I was like a little boy sitting at his feet. Same thing when I met Al Schmidt. He was like, listen, man, anytime you have any questions, reach out. These are guys who had a wealth of information to give. So if you aim at nothing, you're going to hit nothing every time. Some of y'all just need to just open up your ears for a minute. Learn to take some sound advice so that you can grow. Other than that, you'll just be forever competing on price. You'll be a 40-something-year-old man still trying to make it. And at that point, it's whack. Now ain't nobody looking at you. And in some respects, I feel sorry because I deal with a lot of 30-somethings. A lot. And some of these kids have been around me since they were in their 20s. Some of the horror stories I'm hearing. The $20,000 horror story. Who wants that? 30-something years old, you got a $20,000 bill where you got to pay 20% interest on it. That's nothing to look at. So yes, it's possible. And it was a young man as well from South America to reach out to me. The same question. They're losing hope. Don't compete with price. Compete with value. If you know Pookie and them got a laptop like you got, what can I get that they don't have that's going to increase my production value? What's in your hand? You can't approach a job with one tool in the toolbox. Period. That's why I learned to play piano, because Dr. Jablonski was like, yo, you are not getting out of this program until you do. The best advice I've ever had. It's made me a better musician. So I don't feel bad about charging somebody $3,000 for an arrangement and charging them extra to lay it back and doing $150 per printed page for a chart. If you can't afford it, fine. That doesn't mean I have less love for you. It means that you don't appreciate the value you're going to get, because I'm going to work my tail off and I got the equipment and the ability to back it up. You guys have got to stop competing on price. Get off of Fivver competing on price. You will get nowhere. That is an unsustainable business model. Period. And I realized this from a business perspective a long time ago, which was why my wife and I joined forces and we started a PR agency and a radio promotion. She had that end of the business, which was why I started a label and I was able to sell product, which was why I sold studio time, which was why I was able to write charts for people, which is why I'm able to arrange for ensemble and charge you for it. You cannot approach a job with one tool. You cannot approach a business with one tool. The best book you guys have got to read, if you're not a reader, get the audio book, Differentiate or Die and Managing by Harold Janine. Music is a business. You have to treat it like a business or you will not make it. Period. Period. Well, you don't have a Grammy. No, I don't. Nope, I do not. Grammys do not pay the rent. I know more multi-platinum producers. I know several Grammy-winning engineers and artists that would probably sell the Grammy right now to keep the lights on. We are all in the same boat with this COVID thing, y'all. Awards don't keep your lights on. Period. And a lot of people on their way to the top, like I said, I've always approached it, and this was a business concept with the pyramid method. The widest amount of people that are hopefuls that are trying to get to the top, which is very small, they all got to pass through the middle. I said, let me hang here, offer the value and the experience in the middle, because everybody at the bottom is passing through the middle to get to the top. Case in point, Damon Dash. He started Rockefeller in his living room. I remember the day. Rockefeller is one of the largest hip-hop labels there is in history. How? You got to have vision. You got to be willing to go against the grain. Damon did not start out that way. He was managing in the beginning. But it was like, hey, wait a minute. There's value in selling the tangible part. Rockefeller turns into Rockaware. He's always been a tangible type of guy. I need to be able to sell something. So the question gets down to this with you youngsters. What value, what can I offer that's going to be valuable to those who want to purchase it? Everybody can't afford you. If you don't went out and bought $3,000 worth of microphones, you have to. I know what I'm talking about. My son was in a similar situation. Like I said, he was on his way to a Division I school, got to the last year high school, was like, Dad, I don't want to play basketball anymore. To me, that was the biggest mistake that he made, but it was a decision he had to make because, yes, as you're starting to compete, it gets harder. The closer you get to the top, don't think it gets easier, it gets harder because very few people make it to the top. He decided last year high school, I don't want to do this. So he wound up going to a Division II school. He got a degree in sports management. Now whenever they open up the arenas again, he's a photographer for the Brooklyn Nets. God gave him a second talent. He always liked photography. So when he's standing on the Nets floor, the first time he did the job, I was like, hey, listen, it's surreal, right? You got to the NBA some kind of way. But it takes vision. It takes hard work. And you can't get to your goal. Now, he's a great photographer. He has a natural knack for it. But your talents and your hard work and your willingness to study and your willingness to sit at the feet of those who have borne the heat of the day, as they say, is what's going to take you far. Not your laptop, not your plugins, not what you think you know about Pro Tools. Hard work. The music business is a business, and it requires you to think outside of the box oftentimes. So if you want to know what's next in this business, you have got to start thinking, if I'm a beat maker, I need to begin to understand, rather, don't necessarily order a lot, Final Cut. As long as I order Final Cut, there's cheaper options. I need to learn how to use a video editor because it's going to be natural. You already know how to use Pro Tools, so why not learn how to edit for video? Why not learn how to expose properly? Why not learn how to read the scope so that you can maybe, get a night gig at your local news station, being in the control room. And your day gig, just doing beats. You got to think outside of the box, man. You got to think outside of the box. I know this is not, and I don't expect it to be popular in terms of a video. I didn't. But by the same token, because when I did the business series the last time, it wasn't popular. And I'm not looking for popularity. I mean, yeah, I could get up here and do reviews and that, but what's that going to do for you guys? They keep asking, and I get asked this question from all over the world, literally all over the world. People, South America, texting me. The guy was like, I just don't know what to do anymore, And like I said, I'm not all knowing. And when I don't know something, I'm smart enough to ask somebody. Period. And in my 40s, like I said, I met Michael Carvin. I was like, yo, what was it like? You and Elvin chopping it up, and working at the same music school. And what was it like you touring with Freddie Hubbard? These guys are on it. That you would take out the time to pick their brain and find out about a little bit about their history. When I met Bob Claremont, we were sitting around talking like two friends. I was like, yo, what was it like? Y'all recorded Good Times. And he's like, you want to talk about that? I'm like, yeah. He's like, sit down. And he was willing. He was like, yo, when Bernard Edwards got in there, they came up with the whole concept, and he gave me the whole rundown. And Hollywood Swinging, when he recorded it with Kool and the Gang, he was like, and I'm sitting up there soaking it in. Because I would have loved to have, as a kid, been a fly on the wall in those circumstances. But here it is, I'm talking to the guy who can impart wisdom. Then, hey, listen, I'm going to take something away from that conversation. So it's going to require you thinking about these three things. A, when you are a business person, whether you're a beat maker, whether you're mixing and mastering, let's just take those two. Let's take YouTube tutorials out of it. You should think, listen, I'm a problem solver. People come to me to have a problem solved. Excuse me. Now, if the market is totally saturated with a whole lot of people doing this thing, you got to bring up the value of what it is you're doing. If that's where you're going to sit in terms of what you offer, then what makes me not want to go down the block to Pookie and them? You got to offer them value. Because if you got the same thing, then you're just competing strictly on price. And like I said to you all earlier, when you competing with price, it gets you in the game, but it's unsustainable. Eventually, you're gonna have to raise your price, and they're gonna bounce. They're gonna bounce. I got stories, but I'm not gonna sit here bidding anyone's ear with that. So let me look at the questions and see. John Martin is into hizzy and weather music. Mr. Pirate Brain is in the house. Yes. Yeah, I knew that I would just have a select few tonight. you know, in some respects, I feel for some of the younger part of the audience, because I don't fault anyone for not knowing, but it's hard, man. It's hard. And you're talking to a brother with a mortgage, okay? So I understand how hard it is. I'm not by God's good grace. I'm gonna tell you, I ain't in danger of losing anything, but for those who have gone to these schools like Full Sail and taking out $20,000 loans to furnish studios and all that stuff, they're in a position right now, because how do you make money? It gets down to that. How you gonna make money? Because the credit company coming for that. They coming for that money. They coming for that money. They ain't trying to hear nothing about you ain't got their money or that payment. Then you jacking up your credit. Then when you get old enough with enough money and you want to buy a house, you got jacked up credit because you was in bankruptcy. Listen, it's a slippery slope, y'all. I've seen it all. I'm seeing it all. Call me old, call me cranky, call me whatever, but like I said, by God's good grace, I'm smart enough to shut this one mouth that I have and open them 2 ears that God gave me and sit at the feet of someone I know that's going to give me sound advice and wisdom. I ain't stupid. And I'm not saying that people are dumb, but for God's sake, some of you youngsters got to wake up, man. You got to wake up. Like I said, YouTube, God bless those who are making a living on it. I'm 100+ videos deep, and I'm going to tell you, I just got monetized a couple of months ago, and it's not, anything great. I thank God for the money, but it's not any life-altering money. So at some point, you're going to run out of options, period. Point blank, full stop. And when your options have been totally exhausted, the water company, the light company, the phone people, they ain't hearing you ain't got it. That's whack. I'm telling you, they're not. They're not interested in your personal problems. Just pay your bill on time. And if you don't, we cutting your services off. Then what do you do? What do you do? Gotta be forward thinking. Music business is a business. It's a business. It's a business. Everybody in the business of music is not making 100% of their income from just music, which is going to cause you to figure out, what is my next revenue stream? i.e., Rockaware. Hello. Rockefeller Records. Rockaware is a clothing line. He spun that off into Team Rock, which was another clothing line. When he was signing Beans and all them, Beans and them had state property. Okay. What's his name? Jim Jones was the Diplomats and all them. Everybody had a cloak. They understand, listen, we got to monetize this thing to the hilt. So why should you as a musician or a beat maker be any different? You can't. You got to be a businessman. And I get it. It's business, sitting down having to crunch numbers and deal with. That's why you'd rather be on the creative end. But listen, you're gonna have to deal with that 800-pound gorilla at some time. You know what I mean? And like I said, some of the tales about non-payment of income taxes on $15,000 beat making gigs. I've heard horror stories with some of you youngsters. Horror stories. That's got to stop. So it's possible. Just got to think. You've got to think. You have got to think. Think things through and follow through. Sometimes the things you're thinking about are not necessarily outlandish. It may require something of you, but if you're willing to invest the time, maybe you will get a return on that investment. And if the return on your investment is value that you can offer to a client, then you could raise your prices and stop competing on price. Because anytime you compete with price, it is a competition straight to the bottom. Fiverr is exhibit A of what I'm saying. So, hey, let's talk to Rodrigo really. Rodrigo, Warren, would you be rather be a genius at one thing or more or less on many aspects? Would you say that the world is changing in the sense that people should not seek perfection in one place? No. Okay. People, the client always wants perfection. Okay? But, John Martin, what's up? Oh, I saw, yeah, you were here. Okay, good. But I'm answering Rodrigo's question really quick. I say, because one of my sons is a free spirit too. And it's okay to be free spirited. Like I was a free spirit, I think, until I turned 30. I started getting really focused in my late 20s. Really like right down the middle. Part of it was because I was a teenage father. That was part of it. And I realized I had great responsibility. But the other part of it was like I was unwilling, even though I had to take a job, I was unwilling to let my career in music go. I didn't want that. So I had to think of other ways. So the other ways I thought were like, okay, I know I can arrange, I can write, I can do lead sheets for $25. I had a Porter studio at the time. I'm going way back, and friends of mine who didn't have equipment, they would come to me and pay me $15 an hour to record their demos on cassette. Sometimes drastic times call for drastic measures. But being a jack of all trades past, I would say 30 for a young man, is a dangerous thing, because you're going to want greater things past the age of 30. You're going to want to drive a better car. Maybe you want to buy a house. You know what I mean? I would say be good at that one thing. You got to put your 10,000 hours in on that one thing. Put it in. You know what I mean? Because when you're thinking that you can't be so divided, because you won't be able to master one thing. Everybody has a talent. That one thing that they could do really, really well. You know what I mean? Other things need developing and attention. For instance, I'll give you, I sat down literally one day at the age of 12 and started playing drums, okay? I had a knack for it, a natural talent and natural coordination for it. That did not make me a great musician, or a good musician for that matter. Didn't make me a good musician. I had to study, okay? But I like playing piano too. So I had to pick what's going to be my main instrument. I can't do both. Now, there are multi-instrumentalists out there, but I knew that I loved to play drums more, so I focused more of my attention there. Now, the ability to play piano has existed for me to a degree. I approached my education in college with the knowledge, I know how to play piano, I can do a couple of scales. But when I understood that even fundamental piano was not enough to satisfy a client's need, and was told that by someone who knew better, I made an adjustment. I can play. I'm not virtuosic. I can read it piece of sheet music and understand the functionality of the chords, etc., it doesn't make me a pianist. It makes me someone who has facility enough to be able to sell the value of my arranging skills to a client, because I understand that the 5 of 5 in the key of A flat is B, or B flat for that matter. I think you would know, right? So, I mean, it gets down to, you could be a jack of all trades. That's good. But what value are you going to be able to sell someone? Oh, I could do this, I could do that. And then it becomes like, okay, he could do a little bit of everything, but what are you really good at? You have a natural ability. Start there. Build on it, because that's where the value comes in at for the client. You know, when you could do an arrangement that makes sense for somebody, or you could be a problem solver, and like you walk into Pookie and them studio and you're like, yo, your tracks sound a little thin. You look at how they got it set up, because you know how to properly set a compressor, and you understand that this will fatten the track, and then suddenly you go, and then boom, the sound leaps out the speakers. They are like, yo, Rodrigo was like a dope producer. He's a dope mixer. Then Pookie go and try and do what you do. He can't do it because he doesn't have your natural ability. Who's he gonna call? He gonna call you. He's gonna call you. I say, yo, man, come back over, man. And then somebody else gonna pop up at the session, be like, yo, this is my boy so-and-so and so. Yo, you made my track sound fat. Next thing you know, they calling you. Then word gets out that you know what you're doing about this one thing. That's where your value comes in at. Because everybody else doesn't have the ability or the facility or the ability to do what you do, and you do it well, and you got the best equipment. You the only guy in the neighborhood who owns a Manly Verimue. Everybody know that, yo, that's his secret sauce right there. Yo, can I go out and buy a Verimue? No, it's about $5,000. Yo, Rodrigo got one. He do? Yo, and here's a case in point. I'll give you an example. I always got stories, right? About the Verimue thing. A long time ago, I did a session with a vocalist. Her name is Angela Frederick. And Laurel Frederick. You don't know who he is, though. Laurel is a dope keyboardist, gospel keyboard. Nasty. Laurel was teaching college level theory at the age of 22. His professors would ask him to sub for the class. That level of knowledge, right? So we get into battery sound, right? And Laurel was like, listen, I need to do this part over. So we look at the guy, and at the time, the Fairlight was the dope keyboard of the day, the Fairlight. For those of you who know what a Fairlight is, go and look it up. What's her name? This, as a matter of fact, Black Magic bought Fairlight, the company. And the Fairlight was the dope. So the guy had the Fairlight and was like, oh, snap, he got a Fairlight. So Laurel goes like, listen, I need to replace the track. Guy was like, I don't have a keyboard controller. So Laurel looked at me, I looked at him like, what? You ain't got what's that? Look behind the Fairlight. He's like, it's a Fairlight. Okay, we have to replace the track. The guy was like, I don't have a keyboard controller. So he's like, yo, you something wrong with you, B? What's that right there? He's like, it's a Fairlight. You can't use it because I charge extra for it. Okay? He had something that was of value. We needed a problem solved, which was me needed to augment this arrangement. He didn't have a keyboard controller. He owned a Fairlight. If you want to use this Fairlight, you're going to pay me extra. So Rodrigo, to your point, if you are the guy with the $5,000 Manly Verimue, and that's your secret weapon every time you step up into somebody's studio, you the guy. You're the guy. You're the one they calling. Because every time Rodrigo touches a track, yo, it turns to Magic B. You need to call this guy. Period. I watch a lot of guys on YouTube. Youngsters. I listen, and I'm not, please, I got youngsters advising me on YouTube telling me what directions I need to go in. And I respect that. But this one guy, I mentioned him over and over in my videos. Wavy Wayne. I mean, he's the guy. I've seen a lot of producers, as far away arm's distance I've been from some of the best in the business in terms of hip hop. This guy knows what he's doing with the equipment that he has. His tracks are killing. Stefan Guy, some of these youngsters out here, I mean, it's like, wow, you really have some talent. But Wavy is also a good businessman. He understands business. So you take those two and put it together, what do you have? A guy that's now approaching nearly 200,000, I think, in subscribership. It's no wonder. So, you like I said, getting back to my original point, if the only tool you have is a hammer, you tend to see every problem as a nail. Get out of that mindset. Think that I am trying to solve a client's problem. Now, that problem could be that when I'm on these beat websites, everybody's beats are sounding thin. I need to figure out, hey, how can I make my stuff sound fat? So the people listen, they click, 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 and they click on your track. It's like, oh, the buyout lease is what? $2,000? Must be worth it. Yo, look how fat this track's sounding compared to. Y'all go on some of them beat sites. I'm not talking about nothing I don't know. I do my research before I come out my face. And some of these tracks are killing. That guy from the Philippines, it was like, yo, the track was smoking. Well mixed, well balanced. It sound radio ready. $3,000 worth every nickel. So, hey man, like I said, so Rodriguez said, not necessarily be the best at everything, but add value for the thing you're doing. I guess the thing that you're doing. Oh yeah, sure. Give you an example. I play drums. I play drums well. I play well to a click track. There have been times when, I'll give you an example, I had to replace someone on a date for 2 reasons. He didn't have a quality kit, and he couldn't play to a click. And it wasn't complicated work. It was just, you don't have a good sounding kit, and you can't play well to a click, which means you're going to create extra work and time in the studio, which time turns into money. So what do we want to, if we want to save money, we're going to have to hire someone who's going to give us the value that we need immediately. Period. So no, you don't have to be the best. You just have to be able to offer, you have to solve the problem of the day. Period. If that's the problem, yo, this guy can't play to a click track. To save his life, he cannot play to a click. And his kit sounds like he bought it, at the, I'm stepping out from the covered wagon, the 5 and dime store. It doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound like a pro kit. He said it's maple, but I don't think so. Okay, well, I got this. Okay, I can play to a click, no problem. I have transportation to get the kit there, which means you don't have to pay for cartage. Okay, can you be here at this date? I'm available. All the boxes are checked. I'm solving the problem of the day. So no, you don't have to be the best. You just have to be able to do the job. And if you can do the job, period. Think about it. One of the greatest drummers, Vinny Colaiuta, a cross-genre guy. One day he's doing big band, the next day he's doing Chaka Khan, and killing in both respects. And got a great kit. Can read a chart all the way at first sight. Some guys can do that. I'm not the guy. I need to be able to digest it before, So what's going to happen? If I can't read this at first sight, I'm being replaced. by someone who can. Does that mean the guy has more chops or a better ability? No, it means that, listen, we have a job that needs to be done at this particular time, and we want to save as much money as possible. And time is money in the music business, period. So, no, you don't have to be the best, but you have to be able to give value to what the client wants. I don't care if you're making beats or mixing and mastering, period. You have to be able to give the client value, So I hope that answers your question. So, Stefano, the Fairlight computer musical instrument, yes, the Fairlight was killing back in the day, man. Man would not let us use it. I mean, it was sitting right in the control room too, looking all pretty white. Had the big old computer, and we thought, well, okay, well, we just need a MIDI controller. Just want to be able to control. He's like, nope. You want to use it? You're going to have to pay. So, any further questions? I've been blabbing long enough, and I do appreciate you all tuning in. Like I said, I did not expect this to be one of the more successful or well-watched videos, but it needed to be said because I think and I know a lot of kids, all over the world that want to have an ability to survive, but survival means different things to different people. I know it meant a different thing to me. Survival meant, listen, you got to write $25 lead sheets. Survival meant, as a young drummer, getting paid $50 to sub for a drummer on a Sunday. That was survival. Survival, meant for me that I had to do wedding band gigs, which pay very well. Don't fool yourself. And that was like taking candy from a baby. But I had to do wedding bands for a little while. That's what survival meant. So it means different things to different people. And, excuse me, you just, as a business person and as a person who wants to get along in life, you have got to be flexible and willing to make adjustments along the way. Can't be a one-trick pony because no one stays on the mountaintop forever, So Rodrigo says, how am I doing? Everything great with the family? Yes. Thank you for asking. I appreciate that. Listen, I'm here for you, brother. Yes, everything is well with the family. We're getting ready to do a modified Thanksgiving tomorrow. I just got into, my wife almost a minute ago took my head off. Excuse me. Because I had, excuse me, I made the mistake, rather I should say, of criticizing something that she was doing. And she let me know in no uncertain terms that I needed to depart the kitchen before I got myself hurt. So I decided, it's time for me to go online. Let me go and join my people before I get myself broken up into 100 pieces. But everyone is doing well, to answer your question. Thank you for asking. And so that's my spiel. Parting words. Learn a video editing program. If you are in the business of making music, beats, or whatever, which a lot of youngsters are, or if you are a mixing and mastering guy, you need to learn a video editing program, whether it is Final Cut Pro X, Premiere Pro, or DaVinci Resolve, which is free. You don't have to pay for it. You could download it for free. And if you don't know what DaVinci Resolve is by Blackmagic Designs, DaVinci is the top software used in Hollywood for color correction. So you're doing yourself a favor by learning it. I know many of you don't like, you would rather be doing mixing and mastering, but guess what? Podcasting is another booming thing. I looked up the other day on LinkedIn, and podcast producers are making upwards of $70,000 a year. I thought I would hit the floor. Excuse me. Excuse me from coughing in your ear. But to think that Pro Tools, learning how to edit in Pro Tools can yield you a job that pays 70 grand, and knowing that most people will leave that money sitting on the table is what disturbs me. Why? Because podcast producers, that's whack. I don't want to do that. It's not glamorous work. Oh, they don't get Grammys, they don't get gold records, they don't get the accolades, they don't get the notoriety that I would get in Rolling Stone magazine. So therefore, I don't want to do it. Really. The money is green, y'all. Your lights got to stay on. You must eat. You need a roof over your head. And if 70 grand being a podcast producer is the difference between you surviving or not on a basic level, then you're just being foolish. You're just being foolish. Period. So yes, I appreciate you all being here, and that's my spiel. And I want to just take out the time and wish everyone a very, very, very happy Thanksgiving. Be smart. Social distance if you can. I know it's kind of tough for most people to do that at this time, but we have a responsibility to one another to stay safe. And during these uncertain times, I think we need to raise that bar a little bit higher, because we need each other. You know what I mean? And these are family members. I just got word the other day that someone who's not necessarily a family member, but I call her my sister, is in the hospital in Florida with COVID. So please keep my Sicilian sister Celia in your prayers during this time, and I pray that she will have a quick recovery. COVID is real, it is not fake, and we have a responsibility to make sure that we take care of one another. So if you're going to do anything tomorrow, make sure you do it safe. Thanks for watching. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't and you popped your head in during the live stream, please subscribe. Happy Thanksgiving, and say hello to the family for me. Take care.